Good morning, dear student. Welcome back to our lecture. In previous lecture, we discussed our topic plant nutrient. We start that topic. In that topic, we discuss some micronutrients and macronutrients classification, amount of present in soil, or particularly we discuss macronutrients, nitrogen, their role in plant and their deficiency symptoms, and for the removal of that deficiency, which preventive measures we have to taken, that will we discuss in previous lecture. In today's lecture we have to discuss next macronutrients, phosphorus. Normal plant growth cannot be achieved without phosphorus. Then role of phosphorus in plants, it is a constituent of nucleic acid, phospholipids, the coenzymes DNA and NADPH, and most importantly ATP. जर आपण फॉस्फरस पाहिला तर त्याचं न्यूक्लिक ॲसिड, फॉस्फोलिपिड्स असेल किंवा DNA NADPH असेल अँड ATP जे एनर्जी सोर्स असतो तुमचा, त्याच्यामध्ये त्याचा रोल महत्त्वाचा असेल. इट ॲक्टिवेट्स कोएन्झाइम्स फॉर अमिनो ॲसिड्स production used in the protein synthesis. It is involved in many other metabolic processes required for normal growth of plant, such as photosynthesis, glycolysis, respiration, and acid synthesis. These are the some metabolic processes which are involved in plant for better growth of plant. It is involved in various biochemical reactions like metabolism of carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. Our phosphorus also involves some biochemical reactions like metabolism of carbohydrates and metabolism of fats and proteins. The next role, phosphorus enhances seed germination, flowering, and fruiting. It improves crop quality, especially vegetables, crop maturation, thus counteracting the effects of the excess nitrogen application. This phosphorus help in improvement of grain quality. जी grain quality ती improve करण्यासाठी सगळं phosphorusचा रोल महत्त्वाचा बा. रूट डेव्हलपमेंट, स्पेशली लॅटरल अँड फायब्रस रूट्स. ज्या प्लांटमध्ये पहा लॅटरल किंवा फायब्रस रूट्स डेव्हलपमेंट होते त्या प्लांटमध्ये फॉस्फरसचा रोल महत्त्वाचा असेल. It helps to fruit ripening and cell division. Okay, our phosphorus also helps for the ripening of fruits as well as cell division. Phosphorus is helpful in the production of legumes and increases the amount of nitrogen fixation by increasing the activity of nodular bacteria. Then next one is phosphorus deficiency symptoms. Which symptoms will be shown by plant after deficiency of phosphorus? Phosphorus deficient plants are characterized by stunted growth, dark green leaves, and leathery texture. Leaves having leathery texture with dark green leaves also, and reddish purple leaf tips and margins. जे मार्जिन किंवा टिप्स जे आहेत साईडचे ते रेडिश पर्पल कलरचे होतात. डायग्राममध्ये तुम्हाला शेजारच्या इमेजमध्ये दिसत असेल कशा प्रकारे सिम्पटम्स दिसतात ते. सिम्पटम्स युजली ऑकर्स ऑन यंग प्लांट व्हेन द सॉइल टेम्परेचर इज बिलो 15.5 डिग्री सेल्सियस. हे जे सिम्पटम्स आहेत जनरली यंगर जे प्लांट आहे त्याच्यामध्ये दिसतात मोस्टली. लिप मार्जिन मे शो ब्राऊन स्क्रॉचिंग इफेक्ट. आणखी ब्राऊन स्क्रॉचिंग इफेक्ट पण फॉस्फरसच्या डिफिशियन्सीमध्ये दिसतो. इट इन केस ऑफ फ्रूट इज ॲसिडिक इन फ्लेवर. ज्यावेळेस फ्रूटचा प्लांट असेल तुमचा त्यावेळेस फ्रूटची टेस्ट जी आहे ते ॲसिडिक फ्लेवर म्हणजे ॲसिड टाईप होते बा थोडीशी. क्रॉप शोज लेट मॅच्युरिटी. आणि जर मॅच्युरिटी म्हणजे लाईफ सायकल कम्प्लिशनचा जर विचार केला तर फॉस्फरस डिफिशियन्सी झालेला क्रॉप ह्याची मॅच्युरिटी म्हणजे लाईफ सायकल उशिरा कंप्लीट होते. देन फॅक्टर्स कंट्रोलिंग द अवेलेबिलिटी ऑफ फॉस्फरस. The availability of inorganic phosphorus is largely determined by the following factors. First one, soil pH. Second, soluble iron, aluminum, and manganese. Presence of iron, aluminum, manganese containing minerals. Available calcium and calcium containing minerals. Amount and decomposition of organic matter. Activities of microorganisms. These are the factors which controls the availability of phosphorus in our plant. Then next, macronutrients, major constituent for required for the plant is potassium. In short, we wrote it as K. Role of potassium we have to discuss in plant. Potassium has many functions in growth of plant. It is essential for photosynthesis. It activates the enzyme to metabolize carbohydrates for the manufacture of amino acids and proteins. It increases the disease resistance power of plant. In short, we called it as immunity power of plant is increased by potassium. Facilitates cell division and growth, thus helps to move starch and sugar between plant parts. It increases steam stiffness. Our phosphorus increases tolerance. Phosphorus regulates opening and closing of stomata. Stomata concept, I think you know in BSc level, stomata or SY or FY BSc. स्टोमाटा जो लिप वरती प्रेझेंट असतो, जसं तुमचं नोज असतं त्या टाईपचं स्टोमाटा तुमचं कार्बन डायऑक्साईड वगैरे एक्सचेंज करण्यासाठी स्टोमाटा हे यूज असतो का त्याचा. इट गिव्स प्लम्पनेस टू ग्रेन अँड सीड्स. देन our phosphorus improves fairness, texture, size and color of fruit crops. पोटॅशियमचा रोल पण तुमचा ज्या फ्रूट वरती वगैरे महत्वाचा असेल. increases the oil content of oil crops. जे ऑइल क्रॉप्स आहेत म्हणजे ऑइल सीड्स असेल तुमचं शेंगदाणे असतील किंवा मग आणखी कुठले जे ऑइल क्रॉप्स असतील ज्याच्यातनं तेल निघतं, तेल बिया ज्याला आपण म्हणू, सूर्यफुलासारखे करडीसारखे, त्याच्यामध्ये ऑइलचं म्हणजे तेलाचं पर्सेंटेज वाढवण्यासाठी आपला पोटॅशियम महत्त्वाचं असेल. पोटॅशियम इज नॉट ए इंटिग्रल पार्ट ऑफ सेल स्ट्रक्चर बट इट रेग्युलेट्स metabolic process required for the plant growth, fruit and seed development. Many vegetables and fruit crops are high in potassium, which is vital for animal and human nutrition. Okay, then we have to discuss some potassium deficiency symptoms. Which symptoms shown by plant? Potassium deficient plant exhibits chlorosis, loss of green color. Chlorosis जो disease तो म्हणजे ते दिसतं पहा ग्रीन कलरचा लॉस ना अलॉंग द लिप मार्जिन्स और टिप्स स्टार्टिंग विथ द बॉटम लिव्स अँड प्रोग्रेसिंग अप द प्लांट. म्हणजे तुमचे खालचे जे पानं आहेत ते आधी अफेक्टेड होतील आणि नंतर ते वरती शेंड्याकडे जातील पहा तुमच्या प्लांटच्या. इन सिव्हिअर केसेस द होल प्लांट टर्न्स येलो अँड लोअर लिव्स फॉल अप. जर जास्त सिरियस डिफिशियन्सी असेल तुमच्या पोटॅशियमची तर खालची पानंही गळून जातील आणि तुमचा प्लांटचा कलर येलो होईल. ॲज विथ अदर न्यूट्रिएंट्स लॅक ऑफ पोटॅशियम कॉजेस स्टंटेड प्लांट ग्रोथ विथ स्मॉल ब्रांचेस अँड लिटल विगॉर. म्हणजे याच्यामध्ये पण तुमची स्टंटेड प्लांट ग्रोथ होऊ शकते म्हणजे जर तुम्ही पोटॅशियमची डिफिशियन्सी झाली तर. देन नेक्स्ट सम सिम्पटम्स. ग्रेन क्रॉप्स सच ॲज कॉर्न, सोरगम अँड स्मॉल ग्रेन have weak stock accompanied by reduced grain size and yield. याचा इम्पॅक्ट मग तसं पोटॅशियम डिफिशियन्सी तुमच्या ग्रेन साईजवरती झालं म्हणजे यील्डवरती होतं. कॉटन लिव्स टर्न्स रेडिश ब्राऊन, appear scorch, become bronze, the black and eventually fall off. मग खाली तुम्हाला जे कापसाचं हे त्याच्यात दिसतंय पहा ब्राऊन कलरचं होऊन नंतर डार्क ब्लॅकिश होऊन ते गळून जाणार म्हणजे तुटणार आहेत पहा. कॉटन बॉल्स आर जनरली नॉटी रिझल्टिंग द लो क्वालिटी फायबर अँड पुअर यील्ड. आता असे ब्राऊन कलरचे जे कॉटनचे जे कापसाचे जे बोंड म्हणतो आपण त्यांचाही कलर चेंज होईल आणि त्याच्यावरती त्याचा रिझल्ट तुमच्या जे धागा आहे कापसा त्याच्यावरती होईल म्हणजे क्वालिटी जी आहे ती कमी होईल तुमच्या प्लांटची. देन यील्ड ऑफ फॉरेज क्रॉप्स, food for horses and cattle is low and poor in quality. The skin of the tone fruits is distorted, small in size and poor in quality. Tomatoes exhibits uneven fruit ripening, poor texture and soft fruit. त्याचा इम्पॅक्ट तुमच्या टोमॅटो फ्रूटवरती पण दिसेल. देन फर्टिलायझर्स युज्ड टू रिमूव्ह डिफिशियन्सी ऑफ पोटॅशियम An application of potassium fertilizer will correct a deficiency, and if diagnosed early in the growing season will benefit the current crop. लवकर डायग्नोज झालं तर त्या प्लांटला इझिली तुम्ही बेनिफिट देऊ शकता, पोटॅशियमची डिफिशियन्सी सिम्पटम्सपासून वाचू शकता त्याला. पोटॅशियम कॅन बी ऑप्टेन फ्रॉम फर्टिलायझर्स KNO3 13-044, ज्याला तुम्ही इकडं एक इमेज पण दिसते, हार्वेस्टर म्युरेट ऑफ पोटॅश 0060, म्हणजे ज्याच्यामध्ये पोटॅशचं नायट्रोजन पीकेच्या फॉर्मॅटमध्ये 0060 दिलेलं आहे. 0060 म्हणजे पोटॅशियमचं 60% आणि नायट्रोजन फॉस्फरस 00. म्युरेट ऑफ पोटॅश. देन सल्फेट ऑफ पोटॅश SOP 0050, मिक्सचर ऑफ potassium sulfate, magnesium sulfate, 22% potassium oxide is there. Most potash used for commercial crops production in India in SOP. पोटॅशियम सल्फेट. पोटॅशियम सल्फेटच्या माध्यमातून तुम्हाला जास्त पोटॅशियमचे फर्टिलायझर अवेलेबल भेटतील मार्केटमध्ये. देन फॉर्म्स ऑफ पोटॅशियम: वॉटर सोल्युबल पोटॅशियम, रेडियली एक्सचेंजेबल पोटॅशियम, फिक्स पोटॅशियम, लॅटिस or inert or reverse potassium. Problems of potassium: availability of potassium, leaching of potassium, removal of potassium with crops. These are the problems and some forms of potassium which are present in different types. Then we have to discuss a secondary nutrients. Secondary nutrients, that is calcium, magnesium and sulfur. Calcium is absorbed by plant in the form of calcium 2 plus ion. Role of calcium plant. Calcium in plant, we have to discuss what is the role of calcium in plant. Calcium is constituent of the cell wall, hence increases stiffness of plant. Calcium has an essential for cell elongation and division. Calcium accumulates during respiration of mitochondria and it increases their protein content. Calcium improves the uptake of other plant nutrients like nitrogen, micronutrients like iron, copper, zinc and manganese. Calcium plays an important role in the structure and permeability of cell membranes. Then another roles: calcium enhances uptake of nitrate nitrogen and therefore is interrelated with nitrogen metabolism. Calcium is directly involved in chromosome stability and it is an constituent of chromosome structure. It also affects the translocation of carbohydrates in plants. It promotes early root development and growth of plant. Calcium influences the weaker economy of the plant protein carbohydrate ratio in the plant fat metabolism as well as many other physiological processes. Calcium encourages seed production also. Some deficiency symptoms which is shown by after deficiency of calcium. Calcium deficiency symptoms appear in the meristem region, new growth of leaves, stem, buds and roots. म्हणजे नवीन पानं वगैरे फुटणार आहेत तिथं तुम्हाला कॅल्शियम डेफिशियन्सी सिम्पटम जास्त दिसेल. यंगर लिव्स आर अफेक्टेड फर्स्ट अँड युजली डिफॉर्म. म्हणजे सुरुवातीला जी नवी कोवळी पानं येतं झाडाची तुमच्या प्लांटची ती जास्त अफेक्ट होतील ह्या कॅल्शियमच्या डेफिशियन्सीमुळे. इट इन एक्स्ट्रीम केसेस द ग्रोविंग टिप्स डाय. म्हणजे तुमचे शेंडे आहेत झाडांचे ते पण जळून जाऊ शकतात ह्या कॅल्शियमच्या डेफिशियन्सीमुळे. द लिव्स ऑफ सम प्लांट्स हुक डाउनवर्ड अँड एक्झिबिट मार्जिनल नेरोसिस. रूट ऑफ कॅल्शियम डेफिशियन्सी प्लांट आर शॉर्ट अँड स्टेडी. तसं स्टंटेड ग्रोथ होते जर तुमच्या रूटची ग्रोथ कमी झाली तर. देन इन टोमॅटोज ब्लॅक लेदरी appearance develops on the blossom end of fruit. The disorder called blossom end rot. हा तुम्हाला सिम्पटम्स तुम्हाला टोमॅटोमध्ये दिसेल. इन सच केसेस द फ्रूट केसेस टू डेव्हलप द इव्हेंच्युअली फॉल्स आउट. नंतर ते काळे पडून जे बुड येतं ते हे जाऊन जातील, तुटून जातील तुमचे प्लांट टोमॅटोचे फ्रूट्स. द peanuts, low calcium causes pops, a condition that prevents nuts from developing. Then fertilizers used to remove deficiency of calcium. Plants must obtain calcium from soil. Calcium can be supplied by applying fertilizers. Calcium nitrate 19.4% calcium, which is present in calcium nitrate. Calcium sulfate having 22.5% calcium, and normal super phosphate having 20.4% calcium. Calcium deficiency indicate need of lime soils. Improperly limed will provide calcium for several years for crops like peanuts that require a high calcium concentration. Broadcasting of gypsum will apply adequate calcium for normal crop production. For certain crops, a foliar application of calcium nitrate is effective in correcting deficiency. Then next, nutrient magnesium. Magnesium is absorbed by plant in the form of magnesium 2 plus. जसं calcium 2 plus होतं तसं magnesium पण magnesium 2 plus च्या फॉर्मॅट मध्ये absorb केलं जातं. Then role of magnesium in plant. Magnesium is a constituent of chlorophyll molecule which is the driving force of photosynthesis. It imparts dark green color in leaves. Magnesium is a mobile element and it is radially passes from older to younger part of the plant during its deficiency. Magnesium is responsible for uptake of phosphorus and regulates uptake of other nutrients also. Magnesium also activates the formation of polypeptide chain from amino acids. Then magnesium also serves as structural component in ribosomes. It appears to stabilize the ribosomal particles in the configuration necessary for protein synthesis. Magnesium also plays an important role for the formation of carbohydrate, fat and vitamin, etc. These are the important role of magnesium. Magnesium acts as a cofactor for certain enzymes. It is a vital role in the activation of enzyme carboxylase, which is found in chloroplast. Magnesium increases the affinity of enzyme for carbon dioxide. These are some important roles of magnesium. Then we have to discuss magnesium deficiency symptoms. First one, the predominant symptoms is intervenial chlorosis. म्हणजे आतले जे वेन्स आहेत त्याच्यावरती म्हणजे जे वेन्स आहेत ते थोडंसं अफेक्ट होतील मॅग्नेशियमच्या डेफिशियन्सीमुळे. डार्क ग्रीन कलर वेन्स with yellow areas between the veins. Actually, these are happen in intervenial chlorosis. Chlorotic leaves generally turns red and they develop spotted necrotic areas. Magnesium deficiency in plant usually appear first in older leaves, showing that magnesium is mobile in plant. The bottom leaves are affected first and the deficiency becomes more acute. The symptoms progress up the plant. These are some deficiency symptoms of magnesium. Another one, some crops sensitive to magnesium deficiency are jute, grapes, sugar, beet, potatoes, citrus, fruit and vegetables. These are some crops which will easily affected by magnesium deficiency. On tobacco, symptoms being on the tip of lower leaves and progress across the entire leaf. टोबॅको मध्ये झाडाच्या शेंड्याकडनं सॉरी पानाच्या शेंड्याकडनं deficiency symptoms जाणवतो का लवकर. Magnesium deficiency is the common cause of grass tetany in ruminant animals like cows and deers animals. Then fertilizers used to remove deficiency symptoms, deficiency of magnesium. Which fertilizers we have to use? The deficiency symptoms are commonly occur in very sandy soil during the periods of excessive rainfall. It also occurs in the soil pH is low or if only calciate lime has been applied. Depending on the stage of growth of crop, this can be corrected by soil application of lime or fertilizers. Usually magnesium is applied to the soil by use of commercial fertilizers. For example, magnesium sulfate, dolomite, lime contain 6 to 9% magnesium. And then next uh, element is sulfur. Role of sulfur: it stimulates the root growth. सल्फर जो आहे तो तुमच्या मुळांच्या ग्रोथसाठी महत्त्वाचा सल्फर. इट इन्क्रीजेस सीड फॉर्मेशन and nodule formation. Sulfur is involved in the formation of chlorophyll, but it is not constituent of chlorophyll. It helps in formation of metabolites including coenzyme A, vitamin B and glutathione. It is a part of ferritoxin, a type of non-heme iron sulfate protein occurring in the chloroplast, which is important. Sulfur improves quality of all types of crops and vegetables. Then deficiency symptoms of sulfur. Sulfur deficiency is characterized by stunted growth, delay maturity, yellowing of plant, and acute sulfur deficiency causes entire plant to turn yellow. The deficiency of sulfur results in uniform chlorosis, which affects all portion of leaves excepting the tips. सल्फर हे जे खालचे इमेजेस आहेत त्याच्यामध्ये तुम्हाला दिसेल सल्फर डिफिशियन्सी सिम्पटम्समुळे काय होऊ शकते प्लांटवरती. देन सल्फर डिफिशियन्सी सिम्पटम्स बिंग इन द एंगर अँड अप्पर लीव्स फर्स्ट. जे नवीन फुटलेली पानं आहेत त्याच्यावरती जास्त सिम्पटम्स दिसतील बा. सल्फर डिफिशियन्सी सिम्पटम्स रिसेंबल to those of nitrogen in that they produces pale yellow or light green leaves. म्हणजे नायट्रोजन डिफिशियन्सी सिम्पटम्स सारखे सल्फर डिफिशियन्सी सिम्पटम्स पण असतील काय. इन क्रॉप लाईक कॉर्न ग्रेन size is small and yellow strips that rule parallel to the leaf blade and common sulfur deficiency. Then fertilizers used to remove deficiency of sulfur. Which fertilizers we have to provide for sulfur deficiency? We have to remove that. Potassium sulfate, which contains 80% sulfur. Potassium magnesium sulfate, which contains 40% sulfur. Gypsum, which contains 16.8% sulfur. Ammonium sulfate, which contains 23.7% sulfur. Elemental sulfur, which contains 90% of sulfur, 15 to 25 labs sulfur per acre. If we have to remove the deficiency of sulfur, we have to use these fertilizers. Then some micronutrients like zinc, iron, manganese, copper, boron, molybdenum, chlorine. At least 7 micronutrients are necessary for the growth and production of higher plants. Due to multiple cropping, growing high yield varieties and increases in the use of NPK fertilizers, the depletion of micronutrients have occurred in such higher amounts that results into appearance of micronutrient deficit. General functions of micronutrients: by combining with specific protein elements with low catalytic activity may acquire high catalytic efficiency. These are the specific function with respect to our micronutrients. Then the elements may act as a cofactor or activators of enzymes. The elements may affect the properties of enzymes. The element may cooperate with specific enzyme and proteins to acquire high enzymatic activity. Then first one, zinc. Of all the micronutrients, zinc is recognized to be the most deficient element. Role of zinc in plant: zinc plays an important role in the production or functioning of several enzyme systems. Zinc is necessary for the formation of auxins to the growth promoting substance in the plant. Auxins तयार करण्यासाठी पण झिंकचा रोल महत्त्वाचा असेल. Then we have to discuss deficiency symptoms caused by zinc. The first obvious symptoms of zinc deficiency is intraveinal fluorosis of the upper younger leaves. Intraveinal क्लोरोसिस हा डिसीज तुमच्या झिंकच्या डिफिशियन्सीमुळे जाणवला. ग्रोथ ऑफ द प्लांट इज स्लोड डाऊन अँड अफेक्टेड पार्ट ऑफ द प्लांट शोज रोज लाईक कलर, गुलाबासारखा कलर दिसेल तुम्हाला. Zinc deficiency in corn and sorghum are identified by a wide band of white tissue on each side of the leaf midrib. The symptoms is known as white bud. White bud नावाचे symptoms पण तुम्हाला दिसतील. Zinc deficiency in cotton shows little leaf. In cotton plant, after zinc deficiency, her leaf of cotton plant is little. A citrus yellow mottling between the vein of the leaf called mottle leaf. In soybeans, reddish brown spots on older leaves. Fertilizers used to remove deficiency of zinc. Soil fertilizer with zinc sulfate at 10 to 20 kilogram per acre. Then next, micronutrient iron. Role of iron. Iron plays an important role in several metabolic reactions. Although iron is an constituent of chlorophyll, it acts as a catalyst in the production of chlorophyll. These are the important roles of iron. Iron plays an important role in the synthesis of common precursors of chlorophyll and pherophrin enzymes such as catalase, peroxidase and cytochrome oxidase. Then iron deficiency symptoms: yellow foliage, especially yellowing between veins in the fruit leaves. Young leaves first shows yellowish color. Plant lacks of vigor are often stunted growth and plants are generally unproductive. In trees, iron deficiency shows only on the foliage. Iron deficiency are very common in ornamental plants. Ornamental जे species मधले plant आहेत त्याच्यामध्ये iron deficiency mostly जाणवते तुम्हाला. Fertilizers used to remove the deficiency of iron. To correct the iron deficiency, iron salts like FeSO4 means iron sulfate are used. Foliar spraying is most common method of correcting iron deficiency. Chelates of iron like iron EDTA applied to the soil are effective acids and soil. Then these are the some fertilizers we have to use for the iron deficiency, recover iron deficiency. Then next micronutrient is manganese. Role of manganese: manganese acts as an enzyme activator for nitrogen assimilation. It is essential for manufacture of chlorophyll. All chlorophyll tissue have the higher concentration of manganese. Manganese controls the state of oxidation of several oxidation reduction reaction in the plants. Then magnesium deficiency symptoms. Magnesium deficiency is typically characterized by interveneal chlorosis. मॅग्नेशियमच्या डिफिशियन्सीमुळे पण इंटरव्हेनियल क्लोरोसिस होतो. डार्क ग्रीन व्हेन्स विथ येलो डिकलरेशन बिटवीन द व्हेन्स. इट व्हॅरीज डिपेंडिंग अपॉन द क्रॉप्स. स्मॉल ग्रेन्स क्रॉप्स मे हॅव ग्रे स्पेक्स, स्मॉल स्पॉट ऑन स्टेन, म्हणजे तुमच्या जे स्टेन आहे त्याच्यावरती स्पॉट दिसतील. अँड स्ट्रिप दॅट रन पॅरलल टू द लीफ ब्लेड नोन ॲज ग्रे स्पेक. इट ऑकर्स ॲट रँडम across the field. Leaves on manganese deficient corn plant have yellow strips that run parallel to blade. Leaves on tobacco and soybean seedlings exhibits a rusty fleck appearance in acute situations. Tobacco leaves turns brown, disintegrate and fall off. Peanuts exhibits an intervenial chlorosis that generally occur in the spot across the field. Then fertilizers used to remove deficiency of symptoms. Acid forming fertilizers increases the amount of magnesium available for plant uptake. The correct the deficiency by applying a minimum magnesium sulfate of 10 labs per acre as a broadcast application. Magnesium sulfate 28% magnesium is good source of foliar fertilizers effective when applied to appropriate rate. The next micronutrient is copper. Role of copper. Copper has important function in root metabolism. Metabolism मध्ये कॉपरचा रोल महत्त्वाचा असेल पहा. Copper is involved in the life processes of plant and animals in the form of complexes and chelates. It is related to utilization of ammonium nitrogen by plant. It is related with various oxidation and reduction reaction in the plant. It is concerned with enzyme ascorbic acid, oxidase, cytochrome, lactose, tyrosinates, and their activation. These are the role of copper. Then copper deficiency symptoms: stunted growth, small grains, oats in more sensitive to crop copper deficiency than other crops. Copper deficiency symptoms generally observed in case of younger plant. The first symptoms are yellowing the younger leaves. In case of severe deficiency, leaves turn pale yellow, the leaf tips curl downward, eventually turns brown and die. The extreme case, leaves become shriveled, twisted, broken, and ultimately the plant die. These are the deficiency symptoms of copper. Then we have to discuss fertilizers used to remove the deficiency of copper. Which fertilizers we have to use? The copper deficiency is found in naturally alkaline soils, high organic matter soil, and sandy loam soils. The next micro element is boron. Role of boron. Boron is an enzyme activator. Boron is involved in the production of starch required for the building of plants. The major function of boron is in sugar transport to meristem region of fruits and tops. Boron is involved in cell formation and cell development. It is also involved in nitrogen metabolism and flower fertilization. Boron is also helpful in the active salt absorption, hormone fat, and phosphorus metabolism and photosynthesis. These are the role of boron. Then we have to discuss boron deficiency symptoms. Boron deficiency symptoms is death of growing tips. The disorder is generally followed by growth of lateral roots, the tips of which may also deform or die. Leaves of boron deficient plant are usually thick, have a coppery texture, and become curd and brittle. Some crops like grapes from mixed cluster of small and large fruits known as hen and chicks. Beet and potatoes exhibit poor tuber development. Apples have cork spots. Cotton leaves becomes thick and leathery with abnormally long spiny petioles. Balls that survive generally are deformed and smaller in the size and fail out open fully. These are the boron deficiency symptoms. Boron deficiency symptoms includes stunted roots, failure offsets of flower internal tissue to disintegrate. Boron deficiency causes abnormalities such as disorder cracks of hollow or hollow stem of crops. Then which fertilizers we have to use to remove deficiency of boron? Borax, and which apply in 80 to 20 kilogram boron per hectare. Lower limit is used for light acid soil. Then next, molybdenum. Role of that element molybdenum is required in symbiotic nitrogen fixation nodulation by legumes. Legume plant मध्ये याचा रोल महत्त्वाचा असेल. Molybdenum is required for the reduction of nitrate for protein synthesis. Molybdenum acts as a catalyst in the conversion of gaseous nitrogen to unable forms by fixing nitrogen fixing azobacter chlorococcum bacteria. These are the role of. And then we have to discuss deficiency symptoms of molybdenum. Molybdenum deficiency symptoms are very similar to those for nitrogen pale green to yellow leaves. Its deficiency shows yellow spot On leaves, marginal chlorosis along side and tip of blood. Thick curled leaves, reddish brown coloration of stem and petioles. Its deficiency generally shows whiptail leaves, narrow irregular growth in cauliflower and yellow spot in citrus. The marginal chlorosis exhibited by some plant look similar to potassium deficiency also. Fertilizers which is used to remove deficiency of molybdenum. Foliar spray can correct this deficiency. Overall application of molybdenum on forage crops can causes disease called as molybdenosis. Molybdenum trioxide and sodium molybdates are common sources which is used to remove the deficiency of their element. Molybdenum trioxide is usually mixed with upper phosphate fertilizers at rate of 1 kg per ton of superphosphate. These are the fertilizers used to remove deficiency symptoms of molybdenum. Then chlorine. Role of chlorine. Chlorine was proved to be an essential nutrient in 1954 by Breuer and co-workers. ब्रॉयर्स नावाच्या सायंटिस्टने शोधून काढलं क्लोरीन सगळं तुमचा इसेन्शियल न्यूट्रिएंट आहे. Amongst all the micronutrients, chlorine is required in very large amounts, perhaps next to iron. Amongst all the micronutrients, chlorine deficiency symptoms shows symptoms of chlorosis. Tomato shows unusual bronze decolorization. The crops severely affected by chlorine deficiency are carrot, sugar beet. Tomato leaves exhibiting severe chlorine deficiency containing 250 ppm per gram dry weight of leaf tissues. Then fertilizers used to remove deficiency of chlorine. Chlorine present in native rocks is fixed by colloids of soil materials like unlike other micronutrients, chlorine compounds present in the soil are highly soluble. Rainwater is a continuous source of chlorine, no doubt. The amount of chlorine brought by rain or irrigation water varies from 4.5 kg to hundreds of kg per acre. Coastal stations where chlorine contents in the higher due to vaporization of sea water near the coast. These are the fertilizers or the natural sources for chlorine. Then effect on environmental condition on nutrient uptake. The uptake of nutrient from the soil is an active phycological process with vital activity not only on the root system but also the plant as a whole. The uptake of nutrients by the plant depending on the plant species and soil properties including the content of organic matter and mineralogical composition of the soil, its texture, temperature, moisture content, aeration, reaction and concentration of the soil solution. For example, during the night hours, the uptake of potassium, calcium and phosphorus decreases by 1.5 to 3 times. म्हणजे जे अपटेक पर्सेंट रेशो जर पाहिला तर 1.5 ते 3% कॅल्शियम आणि पोटॅशियमचं अपटेक जे फॉस्फरसचं ते कमी होतं. नॅचरली द रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॅक्टर्स in the case of include not only darkness but also deficient soil and air temperature photosynthesis. Okay, then soil moisture and plant nutrition. Sufficient amount of moisture in the soil are prerequisite for normal development of plant as a major factor their nutrition. Water is a universal medium for the all ions and uptake of all micro and macro nutrients increases at optimum moisture content of soil. Moisture content in the soil increases overall absorbing capacity of the roots. When moisture is deficient, the nutrient uptake becomes difficult. म्हणजे मॉइश्चरचा पण रोल महत्त्वाचा इथं, ज्यावेळेस तुम्हाला न्यूट्रिएंट अपटेक असेल करायचं तर म्हणजे प्लांटचे जे प्रोसेस आहे त्याच्यामध्ये मॉइश्चर वॉटर महत्त्वाचं आहे. हाय फर्टिलायझर रेट्स रिक्वायर सफिशियंट मॉइश्चर कंटेंट इन द सॉइल. Then aeration and plant nutrition. The aeration of the soil and nutrient solution directly affects the nutrition uptake rate. Roots of the most farm crops can perform their absorbing functions only under condition of adequate aeration. The CO2 inhibits the uptake of nitrates, phosphates and ammonium ion by the रूट सिस्टीम. म्हणजे कार्बन डायऑक्साईडचा पण रोल महत्त्वाचा असेल. म्हणजे एरिएशन जे पोरस नेचर जे सॉइलचं ते पण महत्त्वाचं असेल तुमच्या न्यूट्रिएंट्सच्या याच्यामध्ये. इट शुड बी नोटेड दॅट इनसफिशियंट एरिएशन ऑफ द रूट सिस्टीम सिग्निफिकंटली अपसेट द नॉर्मल कोर्स ऑफ ॲब्सॉर्बिंग ॲक्टिव्हेट्स ऑफ द रूट. म्हणजे एरिएशन प्रॉपर नसेल तर त्याचाही इम्पॅक्ट तुमच्या न्यूट्रिएंट अपटेकवरती होईल. एरिएशन ऑफ द सॉइल exerts a strong influence on soil microorganism and the process of nutrient conversion in the soil associated with their vital activities. And then next, temperature and plant nutrition. म्हणजे टेम्परेचरचा काय इम्पॅक्ट होतो ते पाहूया. ऑल काइंड ऑफ व्हायटल ॲक्टिव्हिटी ऑफ द प्लांट आर पॉसिबल ओनली within the definite temperature range. The optimum temperature for germination of barley seed is 20 degrees Celsius or oat, and wheat 25 degrees Celsius and maize 32 degrees. For most plant grown under sufficient light and temperature ranges from 15 to 30 degrees Celsius. तो ऑप्टिमम टेम्परेचर म्हणजे टेम्परेचर रेंज सांगितले प्रत्येक ह्याच्यासाठी कुठलंही पण जनरली 15 ते 30 डिग्री सेल्सिअस हे टेम्परेचर प्रत्येक प्लांट न्यूट्रिशनसाठी ग्रोथसाठी चांगलं असलं. ऑप्टिमम टेम्परेचर फॉर अपटेक ऑफ नायट्रोजन फॉस्फरस अँड ग्रेन क्रॉप्स इज नॉर्मली 23 to 25 degrees Celsius. Temperature is an important not only for the germination of seed but also for the uptake of nutrients by the plant. Then light and plant nutrition. Plant starts uptake of nutrients with first ray of sunlight. जसं तुमचं सनलाईट पडेल तुमच्या प्लांटवरती ते न्यूट्रिशन चालू होईल लगेच प्लांटचं. शेडिंग reduces not only the photosynthetic rate but also uptake of nutrient via roots. When plant is kept in dark for long period of time, the importance of inorganic nutrients stop completely. Therefore, light is the most important in plant photosynthesis and all types of nutrient uptake. Soil reaction and plant nutrition. Soil reaction depends on the concentration of H plus and OH minus ion in the soil solution, that is the pH and pOH of the soil. pH of the soil directly affects uptake of nutrients. म्हणजे ऍसिडिटी बेसिसिटी म्हणजे pH कमी जास्त झाला तरी तुमच्या त्याचा प्लांट न्यूट्रिशनवरती इम्पॅक्ट होणार आहे. These are the some factors which affects the uptake of plant nutrient or plant nutrition. याच्याबरोबरचा आपला चॅप्टर जो आहे प्लांट न्यूट्रिएंट हा संपलेला आहे. थँक्यू.